you get out?
Well, I have a very good agent.
Freddie, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the finale and the big twist with the murder at the end with Miss Watson. I mean, obviously the stakes got ratcheted up really high, and this wasn't self-defense.
You just got here. Could you just start with like a softball?
Tell me about the languages you speak.
Yeah, no, I do Arabic and Spanish at Cambridge. I don't speak 9 or 17 or unfortunately, and no Malagasy. But yeah, Arabic and Spanish.
Just for the record, he spent his hiatus working at a law firm in Madrid translating documents.
That's right, yeah, classified.
And that law firm was MI6.
So that's what people think when I do Arabic. They think I'm going to be a spy. But maybe I already am. You know, I'm working for MI5 out here.
If I was Daniel Craig, I'd be very nervous right now.
I guess my question is, you do know most of the other actors, you know, in Hollywood are basically doing drugs and releasing videos to TMZ on their hiatus, right? You do know that.
I know I'm missing out on something.
Yeah. What was that like? What was that experience like for you?
No, it was good. I mean, the kind of internship stuff was formed part of of the Cambridge course. So I've got 1 more year left after we finish doing season 2, and then that'll be done, and I'll graduate.
All right, I get it. You're smarter than the rest of us, all right? Anyway, getting back to the big twist at the end, what did you think about that murder? That really raised the stakes, like I said. It wasn't self-defense in this case.
Yeah, certainly sets things up nicely for season 2, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A nice end to be resolved. I mean, I think we start to see more of a transition for Norman. I mean, not that I know very much about season 2. People always ask me what's going to happen as if I know, but these people know, and they tend to a lot. But it can move forward, you know, not only Norman with his transition towards being psycho, but also perhaps growing self-awareness.
Okay. This question for Max. You know, the story obviously is pointing toward a Dylan-Bradley romance, and that could complicate things with Norman. What is your take? Is that something that you're rooting for?
As Norman's brother, I'm kind of rooting for whatever keeps me alive. And I don't know what's gonna make him turn. But no, I think it's interesting. You know, obviously, it's kind of something that I guess I want to see explored, but at the same time, I'm definitely a little bit nervous about it. Not because of her, but because of this guy.
It's the good thing about being Norman Bates, you know that you'll be there to the end.
Speaking of romance, this is a question for Olivia. Are you rooting for a Norman-Emma romance, or do you like where it is right now?
I like where it is right now. I think to pursue any more, and I can't keep getting rejected all the time. I can't keep trying to pursue when you're just not responding. He knows how much I love him, but it's just, anyway.
This is kind of like the dating game.
Will you be my boyfriend? No, that's a no. No, I think it's nice the way it is. You know, just what could be and the what if is nicer than if it actually happened.
Because really it can't end well.
No, exactly. It can't end well either way forever anyway.
I mean, it could end well. I'm just not sure people, you know, want to see that ending. Maybe.
What are you talking about? Where you going?
Yeah. It becomes like a family show. It's just, you know, Norma and Emma running the Bates Motel. They have like some children and a dog, and it's like 7th Heaven.
Except the dog is stuffed.
All right, a question for Nestor. How do you see Romero? His moral code is interesting at best. Do you see him as a gray hat? Where do you see him?
Yeah, he's a guy who pretty much, you know, has his own, like you say, he has his own way of dealing with the law. And, you know, the interesting thing about certainly the first season is that you think on the one hand Norman comes into this town and Norman, and they're the sort of the kooky ones and the crazy ones, and sure enough you discover pretty quickly that,
you know, it's run by, the town is run by a sheriff who's a hard-hitting guy who runs, by the letter of the law. But I think this is
and also 173 years old.
Exactly. when Carlton called me and said, "You want to play an ageless sheriff with guy lines?" I said, "How could I not?" But no, it's a guy with his own moral code. But I think
when we do your flashback episode and we discover that you landed in White Pine Bay on a slave ship, that's gonna be
I can't wait to do that, episode where we go to Hawaii.
What, you're saying shooting in Vancouver is not as nice as shooting in Hawaii?
I love it, but the Brady Bunch did it. I think we could do 3 episodes.
Bates, go to Hawaii. No, I think it could be good.
Yeah, in the first season when it was suggested, I thought this is great. I didn't want to say no. Well, yeah, let's go, Bob. Let's
I know. Norma was doing research on how Hawaii was one of the safest places to live. So, we can't rule that out.
Question for the producers. This being a prequel that takes place in modern times, it's an interesting setup you guys have here. I'm wondering, when you were fleshing out that universe, what kind of limits did you guys put on yourselves in terms of creative liberties you could take? Were certain things in the movie you felt that could not be touched, or were you told, actually, like, this has to remain this way?
No, I mean, no one ever told us that anything had to remain. I think there's certain things that have to remain, that you can't do it without. One is the progression of Norman Bates losing it. And the other one, which was a really important one, was the house.
Yeah. I mean, really, you wouldn't want to see Norman Bates check into a splint level ranch. So yeah, we wanted to keep the house and the motel, but we felt that by doing it as a prequel, it kind of liberated us to tell our own story. We didn't really think it was very interesting to just be, kind of retelling something that we could never do as well as Alfred Hitchcock. And so by taking these characters, these iconic characters, and putting them in a modern setting, it kind of gave us liberty to tell our own story. And I think the audience has some idea of where it's going to go, but the way in which Norman devolves and what happens between him and his mother and his brother and his potential, maybe possible future girlfriend, Olivia. These things are all yet to be written, and we will do our own version of that story, and that to us is really exciting. And for us, it was just really a great opportunity to take these iconic characters and reimagine them, in a new way. And then we were incredibly fortunate to attract this amazing cast, and so it's really fun for us. I mean, we're telling this story that people kind of have some idea. Well, it's not going to end well, but the path there is super fun for us.
There's an interesting nod to the original movie. Having Norma fight the bypass. That was a cool thing that you guys laid in there. Are there other threads from the movie that you guys have talked about working in that same way? And how important is that storyline going to be?
Well, that storyline is important because it's defining of their world, because it's all about the success of the motel, which is super important to Norma.
We definitely deal with the bypass in season 2.
Yeah, that's a big issue in season 2.
Just entire episodes at town council meetings discussing the bypass.
It's a crossover blossom creation.
So exciting.
It's kind of a civics lesson.
But I mean, there's iconic, obviously there's iconic pieces of the movie, like the peephole, or the rocking chair.
Or taxidermy. Norman's going to be doing more taxidermy. We're going to be stuffing bigger animals this year. You heard it here first.
But it's fun to have those in the back of your head and think of ways that they can organically come out in the storytelling without pushing it,
We've learned about the marijuana fields and the Asian sex slave trade. How many more sinister industries are there in this movie? And if the cast has any ideas of what they've pitched, I'd be curious to hear it.
I think there were 10,000 murders in wherever that place was Angela Lansbury lived, so, have some slack.
Speaking of season 2, can we maybe get a few teases about what to expect? Are there other members of the Bates family we'll be meeting? Just anything to help here.
We made reference to Norma's brother last season, and we might that character might show up this season, which we think would be pretty interesting. Wow, that's overwhelming. All right, we're back to the city council storyline. Okay. This is kind of like a little litmus test. I'm going to go backstage and shoot myself. No, that's good. And then there's some new romance for Norman and Norma this year. Yes. And not with each other, okay? Not yet. There's some limits. There are a few limits.
When you guys were mapping out the season, did you know that you always were going to end on that murder? No?
No, I mean, after a while we figured it out. Well,
I mean, I think it was during the last 4.
Well, originally we were going to do 6, so, you know,
yeah.
when
So we didn't know that.
when Shelby died, we thought, well, that's a pretty good 6 episodes. And then A&E ordered 10, which turned out to be great. I mean, like those last 4 are really, my 9 and 10 are my favorite 2 episodes of the season, and you know, Jerry Burns coming in and doing his turn as Abernathy was super cool. So we, you know, ended up being really good, but we didn't really figure that out until we kind of mapped out the first part. But it actually worked out well because it sort of forced us to, you know, advance the storytelling in a way faster than we'd expected by doing sort of a 6-episode arc and then a 4-episode arc for the show. So next season we'll just do 1-episode arcs, which would be like CSI.
I think people are interested in part of the filming process of season 1, 2. Can you guys talk a little bit about what that was like for you and maybe a really weird story that happened while you guys were filming?
Well, I mean, I'll tell one story which happened before we were filming, and Tucker Gates, who was our producing director, and I were out with some crew guys, and we were basically, Tucker wanted, you know, the scene in the pilot where Norma and Norman row out into the bay and they take the body and they throw it in the water. Well, Tucker wanted to basically get a shot of that, of the body sort of slowly sinking, and so that actually becomes like a technical issue of how much do you weight the body, what's the sink rate. So we were out there with these special effects guys in this boat, and we had this dummy wrapped in chains and a motel blanket, and we were like throwing it in and out of the water. And so we throw it in the water, and we're like, that's a pretty good sink rate. And then all of a sudden, this little kayak tour group comes around. And they're like, they're paddling along. And all of a sudden, we haul up this body wrapped in chains. And there's no police, there's no cameras there. There's just 4 dudes in a boat. So we're like paddling really fast, you know. So that was fun. But you guys are up there all the time. What's happened?
That very boat was sinking too. There was a hole in that boat, that entire last scene. And so there was about a good 10 inches of water getting deeper into the water. And for whatever reason, Tucker insisted that we do close-up, medium, all without break.
I think that was Tucker's way of just making sure you were pacing it up. You know?
It also smells quite a bit in the motel because it's built. The sort of actual hill where it's on is this rubbish tip, and then over the road is this working dump. So when it doesn't, it rained lots during the first season because we were there in the winter. But I fear for this summer. The heat will get there, the smell will waft over, the whole place will stink. I mean, not a big fear.
Emotional scenes for that reason can be kind of easier to do. You just catch the wind.
This is a question for any of the cast members. I know we're early on in the show's run, but is there already a storyline that you've been angling for or actually pitched to Carlton and Carrie?
I'm still pushing for Hawaii.
Well, I mean, Vera did pitch a story idea to us, which you'll see in episode 2, but I don't really want to spoil what it is, but it's really great, and we were very excited to do it, and that's really big, and that's all I can say. That was Vera's.
And the other ones that you rejected, I'm still hoping for 3, season 3
Yeah.
or 4, so I can't.
They're on the list. They're, you know, we'll get to some of those.
Carl, how about a cryptic one-word tease for that episode?
Sandman.
That's pretty good,
Wasn't it?
Anyone else have a dream storyline that they're hoping for? Or?
Max?
Do I? I'm waiting for my love interest, so I'm sitting here like,
Oh yeah, we have some. Well, I'm not sure. It's not really love. I would.
I'm just gonna hang out with Remo. I'm just gonna hang out with Remo the whole time. Spend every day with Remo.
I don't think this is the place to tell you exactly what happens.
You just want to live. That should be his dream
I'm
pitch.
just hoping. Maybe.
Now there's some, you know, romance. Well, not really romance, but maybe
That's good. That's good. No love. It's too mushy for Dylan. Bring it up.
This is a question for Freddie, our one inside the actor studio question. Let's talk a little bit about Norman's blackouts. Walk us through your process. What's going on in your head when you're acting out those scenes? Where do you go?
It's yeah, I'm really bad at answering all of these questions about the process and what you go through. You just kind of think about what the character's thinking, and then you're there. I don't know. Pretend. No, I really do become Norman Bates.
Kind of like right now.
It was fun working with Vera on developing. I think it was in episode 7 of the first season, the kind of voice of Mother speaking through Norman, and so where he kind of repeats her words and get the similar cadence. So we kind of worked on that a bit beforehand. So I guess that's a form of preparation. But when you're there, I don't know, for me, I always kind of do the preparation beforehand and then forget about it on the set and just see what happens.
Got it.
I think I never feel a pressure to get to a certain emotional moment or a beat. You kind of, which is what Vera is very good at, constantly being alive during scenes and keeping on your toes, as opposed to just coming with a preconceived idea that you don't want to change.
Got it. Question for Vera and Freddie, you too. This relationship is so central to the show. When you guys...
Sensual?
Sexual central? What did I say? I'm just wondering, when you guys were getting started, did you guys decide that it was important to do some bonding beforehand? And that's not what I meant. Get your mind out of the No, just that.
He kept asking me out on dates. I have a 2- and a 4-year-old at home that needs some real mothering. So no, we hit it off right away. And I think when you're playing such intimate roles and you're playing these themes out, I mean, you can't have a lukewarm attitude towards each other. Either love each other or hate each other, and I do perfection.
Yeah, lucky enough to get on well, don't we?
So
We do disagree slightly on Norma and Norman's relationship.
Oh, yeah.
As to whether or not I think it's slightly dodgy, and Vera's like, no, it's very nice.
We always debate this. Because we play out the scenes and he gets this like little twinkle in his eye, and I say, oh, no. This is just a form of Norma's holding therapy. And this is going to make you better. But he thinks it's making him worse.
What do you think? Do you think it slightly crosses the line or not?
Yeah, a little bit.
Doesn't.
And that's a question actually for the producers. How much do you guys in the writers' room talk about that line, and is it negotiable? Like, when you guys are discussing this, are some people like, we should push it a little bit more this way, and other people are, let's pull it back? Or?
No, I mean, it's just it's a gradual process of 2 different psychologies, and Norma is very needy, so she doesn't always see what she's doing because she has that drive to feel she's lonely, you know. And but, I mean, it actually makes perfect sense that he would think it's dodgy and she doesn't, because that's what it is. I mean, it's like she really doesn't think she's doing anything wrong. She totally loves him.
Yeah, and I think every mother in the audience will tell you they grow up so quickly, you got to slather it on while you can.
My son and I are very close. Watching the show.
On that note, we'll now open it up to audience questions.